All right, let me just check things out here. We're on, Jane. I just need to check my tablet to make sure I can see it. Come on. There we go. We're on, Jane. I just need to check my Okay.
All right.
I'll give it a few minutes so people could log on. I usually play my long 2-minute intro music, but people are coming on now, so I'll give it a minute or two.
All right.
And we'll just talk about everything we just talked about again. No. All right. Give it a few minutes. I know I should have played the intro, but I didn't.
That's all right.
All right, everybody. I know there's a few people on, but more will come on as we go. Yeah. Here we go. All right. So it's been a very long time since my friend there, Jane Doherty, and I have shared a live stream together. Seems like 100 years.
3.5.
Has it been that long?
3.5 years.
Really?
Because it was before I moved to my daughter's, and it was 3.5 years that I'm living here.
But we were doing it even during COVID?
Yeah, we did.
Or after COVID? I think
we did it. No, we did. We didn't do it after COVID.
Oh, wow.
Well, that would have been, no, it was 20. I moved here in 22. So the last time we did it was somewhere in that summer.
Yeah. Wow.
I think it was before my ghost tours.
Wow.
That's when I started the ghost tours. And the last time we've actually been together having dinner or talking is going to be 4 years in June.
Get out of here.
No, that's how long it's been.
Really? Since we went to that restaurant?
Yep.
Oh man, we got to do that.
I know.
Well, now that you're okay, I mean, we're going to go into a little bit of that. But now that you're okay, we can go out and
yes.
And now that your heart is okay now, right?
Yeah, my heart's okay.
So we could scarf down some Italian food and not have to worry about bread or garlic or cheese or any of that.
Right.
So those of you who don't know, Jane Doherty is I refer to her as my paranormal mom because I've known Jane for a really, really long time. And Jane is such a good-hearted person and a medium, one of the few mediums that over the years that I would recommend to people. Everybody knows that. Jane, we did a lot of live streams together back years ago. Jane is one of the OGs when it comes to the paranormal stuff. And well, let's just talk a little bit about first, Jane, about, you haven't been around much the last few years or lately because you've had health issues,
right.
But now you're okay. You were just talking that, your issues with your heart and you felt like you were really like it was the end for you.
Yep. But it's not. Thank God.
But that again, as a medium, and again, this is a very personal question. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Do you have, as a medium, more faith in that the end is not the end and that there's nothing to be afraid of?
Oh, absolutely.
So you have no fear of death whatsoever?
I have no fear of death whatsoever.
Wow.
None. I know. I see the other side. I know what it's like there. I know what death is like. And I dream, and I'm always in the spirit world, talking to my deceased relatives. Wow. Oh, it's like unbelievable. So I have no fear at all. And I had no fear at the time when I thought, of course you don't want to leave your daughter and son and granddaughter,
right.
But even though I was feeling what I was feeling, my psychic ability was telling me I wasn't. It was that type of thing going on, but then I was feeling physically not good.
Yeah.
But, but no, I have no fear of it.
Well, you look good. I mean, again, Jane went through a rough patch there because even with the psychic fair and the expo, she was having problems getting around.
Yeah.
And I was worried about you. And the fact that you were even showing up for those events, how many times did I ask you, are you going to be okay? Are you sure you can do this? Because God forbid something happened to you at an event that we were doing, or you're pushing yourself. But Jane I've seen Jane do things as a medium. That's how I, again, you guys know me that watch, that's how I judge mediums. And Jane, I always talk about, I don't know if you even remember this one, but couple of things I always talk about when I talk about you. When we sat in, when I was able to sit in at the seance at the Barron Arts Center. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember you sitting in, but I remember what happened.
See, that you've probably done so many of these that you don't remember, but I talk about this all the time, how you had no idea who was coming. We did at the Baron. It's a rectangular table. We sold so many tickets to it. I sold the tickets. Jane was there doing the seance. She had no idea who was going to be. And she just tried one by one to give everybody a reading. And I was like, first of all, those seances are so personal, man. The things that come out.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a therapy session, and people are touching, they're connecting with their loved ones and all these memories. And you pulled out the name of a dog. You pulled out the name of this woman who was a police officer and her partner was shot. You pulled that out of nowhere. And I was like, holy crap. Do you, like, you've been doing this a really long time.
Yes.
When you're there, you're sitting at that table. There's 12, 15 strangers around the table. What is the first thing you do to lock in and connect?
Well, what I'm doing is saying a prayer. That's what is important to me, because I'm asking for it to be under God and for somebody that's from the light to come in. And I'm like getting into concentration is what I have to do to start to receive information. So
how does that come through initially? Like, what is the first thing that you would call information? What is that like?
Each time it can be different. Sometimes the spirit will come in with an image and I'll start to see that. Sometimes they'll come in with a name. And with names, it could be the spirit's name or it could be the name of a person they're calling. So you don't know that at first, you just get a name. And then you'll get a description of them. And a lot of times it comes in like a personality. Personalities don't change. And not right away anyway. It would take eons of years for that personality to change before you came back. So that's something that I get right away, is the personality. One seance, which was funny, I walked over to a man and I'm smelling liquor. So I knew spirit was coming in, that the person had been a drunk. And the man that was in front of me was a drunk, but his friend that died, they were drunk buddies. And it was really funny because I'm walking tipsy as I approached him. So there are funny things that can happen. I have to interpret it. Obviously, when I started to feel tipsy and then I smelled the alcohol, I knew I had somebody who used to drink.
But isn't that weird how that carries over? Like, how, of all the things that would carry over, and is that just because that's what those two people had in common and that they shared, which is why it comes in that particular way? Or
no, it comes.
Or they are the same person over there that they were here.
No, they're the same. But you have to understand, they can't just come in and say, "Hey, buddy, I'm here. You want to go have a drink?"
Right.
It's through pictures. They communicate through pictures. So that's in these little signs. A very clear one, and I usually say it in seances. This girl who, I don't know how many seances she came to. She was raised by her grandmother. Her mother died when she was young, and her mother came through every seance. And in this particular one, I was finished with the seance. She was moving to Delaware. So she said, "Wait a minute." She goes, "I want my mother to tell me what the nickname was." And I went, "All right, I'll try." I had finished, but I went, "I'll go back in." And I'm in there, and all I kept seeing was an image of an elephant. And I would push the elephant away, and the elephant would come back. After 4 times, I gave up. And I came out of it, opened my eyes, and I said, "I'm sorry. I can't get it. All I keep getting is a picture of an elephant." And she burst out crying because her mother's nickname for her was Dumbo.
Oh,
But it was affectionate. It wasn't meant in
right.
a bad way. But that's how they talk. It's sort of like even word association. They give me an elephant. They could have probably given me an image of Dumbo, but I saw just an elephant, and that's how it comes in.
Why would I? I know some mediums kind of work in the way where they're like they ask you who do you want to connect with,
Right.
and and then the medium tries to do their best to connect with that person. Why would take for instance, my mom passed, that.
Mhm.
Um, take for instance, I want to talk to my mom, yet a medium, I've heard mediums, say things like, well, Uncle Bob is coming through. Why would the connection I have with my mother is way stronger than anybody on the planet? How is it that Uncle Bob would be able to shoot through there and not my mom with a message? You know what I mean? Is it
Yeah.
more of a guide thing or is it
No, it's probably because your mother at that point was not close to the time you were doing this that was happening.
okay?
Your Uncle Bob may have more reason to come through. Coming through may help his soul greater than your mother's soul if she came through.
Well,
Yes,
could you stop and explain that because you 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 first you said she wasn't close enough.
yeah, the
The, what does
to
that mean?
close to where the reading was, close to the moments you were trying to make the meeting was trying to make contact. Not that she wasn't close to you personally,
No, no, I know what you're saying, but how, again, describe what is.
because for
Can,
instance, when you're on the other side and
right,
you have the keys to the other world there,
right,
you go any place you want. And
okay,
at the moment that we are trying to make connection with her, she
right,
could be off in Egypt
right,
visiting the pyramids. So by the
okay,
time she hears us trying to call her, we maybe have finished.
huh?
So, that's one reason that you'll always get them. And also, if she's preparing to come back to be reincarnated, then she won't come through because she's so busy making her new life, picking out the things.
So once they're reincarnated, they cannot come through anymore.
Once they're, well, no, they won't be on the other side then if they're reincarnated. You'll know them here again. But
See,
if they're
that's
making,
the part where you lose
all right,
me.
when they're making plans to reincarnate,
Right,
they're so focused on that they don't come through because they're in the process with the higher ups, making plans for what they need to learn, what they didn't learn in the previous life, what this new life is going to be like. So they're consumed with that
right.
information rather than connecting with you.
But spirits aren't eternal. I couldn't connect with the spirit of whoever, like Thomas Jefferson, now
Uh,
because you think that
probably,
he's been reincarnated and he's not.
right. You could be reincarnated at
Oh,
this
see
moment.
that's weird. That's weird to me because I would think that you would always be able to reach that spirits
Um,
are eternal.
it depends. If they're reincarnated, you can't. If they're not reincarnated, you can.
Is that a choice?
It's a choice. And of course, you have to have a connection to somebody like Thomas Jefferson for
Right,
Thomas Jefferson to come in.
right.
The only time I've ever done that in a seance is I got Cher's husband in a seance, and I wasn't asking for him. He came through, and I was stunned.
That's
And
weird.
I forgot what he said, but he came through. And then what I learned when I finished the seance, somebody in the circle owned one of his guitars.
Oh, get out of here.
No, yeah. So then I understood
The
why he came
connection.
through in the seance. But other
Well,
than that, you can't get, a famous person unless there's somebody that's connected to that person.
you bring up that, and the other thing that I remember that you and I worked on, and I was talking about this the other day. Remember when we filmed that pilot,
Yes.
and we're still friends with that couple whose
Yes.
house that we went to. Um, we talked about this before. I talked about this with the people here. You did a walkthrough prior to us going in and trying to document anything, and we were using things that you had pointed out, go into areas where you told us to, and you literally went to, I'll never forget this as long as I live, you literally went to a clock on a shelf in his man cave in the basement, and you said, there's something about that clock. I feel it, that clock. And it turns out that clock stopped when he died.
The moment he died. Okay.
That was again another one of those, like, and the couple, I won't mention their names, but they were like, whoa, like, how in the world? And she just bam, right to that clock. And
I remember that.
that was really cool. Really cool. So I've seen Jane, and again, we were part of the IRE, which is 2 blocks away from me. We did the Holzer file seance, the anniversary. Remember that one?
Yes. Yes.
That was after my mom passed. It was the week after my mom passed. We did that, and for those of you who don't know, Hans Holzer and his medium were at a house that's 2 blocks from where I live, the IRE house, and they, was rumored to be haunted. Hans went there with his medium. I think her name was Ethel. I think.
Yes, yeah, I think that was the name.
And they did a seance to try to communicate with the spirits. So on the anniversary of that, 25 years, 30 years, whatever it was, we had an event where Jane went in and replicated that. And it was another one of those nights that was just like...
It was a wild night.
Well, I'll tell you that. That's another one. I think we live streamed that, or part of it anyway. But
I think you did. Yeah.
But Jane, I want to go back to the older stuff, because people that watch the paranormal stuff now, you know, everything's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Things were on TV, and it's all these ghost hunters, and YouTube people on TikTok are all doing ghost hunts everywhere. And you come from a generation where none of this was mainstream. None of this was kind of talked about, everywhere with everyone. And I bring this up to John Zaffis as well, because he's part of that generation. What was that like, again, back then, to be part of that, group?
It was, first of all, people didn't believe you, and they made fun of you or called you crazy. And I think I told you I lost a marriage as a result of me doing what I did and believed in it. Nobody was going to take that away, because I believed in it 100%. So in essence, I was a rebel. And I'm glad that I did, because it wasn't mainstream at all. So you couldn't talk to a neighbor, or you couldn't talk to somebody you just met. They would think you're crazy.
Yeah.
So, but I survived. And then I went further, where I did the first ghost investigations and seances publicly in New Jersey.
Wow.
At the Sky House way back in the 1980s. I think it was like 1988. And it was wild then. I mean, I did the ghost tours for 10 days, about 6 or 8 tours a night.
Oh my God.
And people were out the door in lines. It was unbelievable. And I was trying to teach people not to be afraid of the spirit world, you know, to embrace it. We're changing, they like it. And there were so many times that some people had a reaction to spirit there. Even my mother, which is funny, I was there with the shopping center, the shopping network. They had to do a piece, and they chose to take me there. And I took my mother and left her in the car. And we're inside looking for the spirits. And when it was all over with, I went outside, and my mother said to me, I saw something strange. And I said, what? And she said she saw a woman standing by the water's edge, dressed in like colonial garb. She described it. And she said, I thought she was going to commit suicide. So she said, I started praying for her. And then she goes, I got back in the car because I was afraid to leave it alone. And so when I told her, Ma, you saw Abigail, she didn't want to believe me. She said, I'm going to go on every house on this street and I'm going to find that woman. And it was great. And people just all the time, even Skid Row, they came to the ghost tours. And it's so funny because they came in, I didn't know who they were. And I went, well, you guys look like a rock band. And they laughed.
That is so
Well,
funny.
6 months later, a month later, I did a seance in South Amboy, it was,
Yeah.
for them, not realizing.
Oh my God, that is funny. I
And
never
I'm
heard that
thinking,
one.
you guys are going to be very, very well known, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they would just smile because I didn't know who they were. So what happened is my son was supposed to go with me that night to tape record, but then he decided not to. Well, at the end is when I found out it was Skid Row, and there was a lot that went on, including something that Sebastian Bach, I warned him not to do because his father was killed. And so there was something going on that he was going to follow.
Oh my God.
I said, no, don't. So I come home and I said to my son, he's in the garage working on his car. I said, have you ever heard of the group Skid Row? And he said to me, well, yeah, I love them. Look, I
Yeah,
have a.
back then they were pretty
I went,
big.
oh, I said, because that's whose seance I just did. Oh, he was kicking himself. He didn't go because he was supposed to. So, there's funny things happened, and they've been to a lot of my ghost walks.
But this is the part that, again, same thing with John Zaffis, where people like you, again, who have been doing this for a really, really long time, or were part of that original movement, whatever you want to call it, the things that you forgot about and the things, the stuff that you worked on is like the best part of everything. That's what I tell John all the time. When we talk to John and he talks about cases that he worked on with Ed and Lorraine, he just talks about it like, oh yeah, there was this one time or whatever. I'm like, no, John, that's what people now need to hear because they're all watching YouTube and they're all watching TikTok and they're all watching TV. But you were part of those like paranormal studies, right? Back in.
Oh yeah. Well, I actually was president of the Jersey Society of Parapsychology. And
now, how big was that? How many people are we talking about?
Well, that was quite a few people. That was a couple of hundred, but it was the original paranormal group in the world before Duke University took it over.
Wow.
But it was the original. I used to get mail from different crazy countries with showing knives or something in them because they would practice a certain type of thing. So it was something that I did a lot. And at that time, I also was tested at Princeton University for psychic ability and kinetic healing energy because I could make things move when I put my mind to it. Wow. So that meant you had healing ability. And that's also where I first met, well, no, it's the second time I met Hans Holzer. I made a wish years ago I wanted to meet him. That was my greatest wish because he was the original in the field.
Yeah.
So I just looked up to him and lo and behold, I found him. I found myself in his apartment in New York through somebody I knew who knew somebody that knew him. And that's how I was invited there. And I did a reading for him.
Just remember this is a family show, Jane.
Yes, right? I know. It's okay. And then he also came to the paranormal, the society, and he spoke.
Wow.
So there was and then he's the one that named me one of the top 10 psychics.
Now you had from what was it? You said Princeton that was doing this? Is that what?
Yes.
I doubt you have them now, but did you have the documentation of the studies that they did? And
they didn't give it to me. I was just part of the study.
Oh, okay.
They didn't do that back then. I mean, it goes back to maybe the early 90s.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, that type of thing. They didn't do like in Arizona. If I did it, they would have documented it later. But then they didn't. It was just their own personal study that they were doing at the time.
Well, what about I'm pretty sure we talked about this, but did anybody ever come to you through the years, which I'm sure they did, and hey, my house is haunted. Hey, would you come and help me deal
Oh,
with whatever's going on here? Do you have any good stories as far as
oh, absolutely.
cases that you worked on?
That was something that happened all the time. I would get the call. I think one of the interesting ones was probably about 8 years ago, and that was with an autistic child.
Really?
And what was happening is she thought he was possessed, okay? Because he would take apart the cable outside and rip it in half. And when it was repaired, they told her, the mother, that a Mack truck wouldn't have been able to do that. And it was like every time she left the house, this would happen. And
Wow.
yet before this, he was fine. So I gave it to somebody in North, I don't know what state it was, thinking I didn't have to do it because I didn't want to deal with demons that time. Well, the mother wanted me to go. So I went, all right, I'll go. And what it was, which was so fascinating, is as I walked around trying to figure out why this kid is doing this, my stomach would enlarge, expand in certain places. And she had all these African masks on the wall.
Oh.
So my stomach reacted to one of them. Now, at first I said, they were all brand new. But see, even though it's brand new, it represents something. So that energy was in there. And that's what was causing the problem of him being overtaken by a demon. So we took it down and I quickly hypnotized him so that he was clear of it and banished what was there. And he never had a problem again. But it was scary. It was
Wow.
very scary. And then he went back to all his normal activities.
Now that energy, before you finish there, do you pick up on that energy right away when you walk in?
Yes.
What does that feel like?
It's very heavy. It's a very heavy, foreboding kind of energy. You would probably get strange pains, like maybe a lot of tingling sensation. You'd go numb.
Are those spirits trying to connect to you and show you images as well, or no?
I don't allow it because I know it's
Okay.
dark energy.
Okay.
I put up a protection right away.
Okay.
You feel it. And, remember, I have my stomach expand, so I don't want that negative energy coming into me.
Right.
So, yes, it's very evident to me. I will feel it. It'll also make me sick to my stomach. Like you'll feel nauseous or you feel like you want to vomit. So
wow.
You'll feel that definitely.
Anything else you remember as far as cases that you worked on that were kind of strange?
Yeah, let's see. I've done possession. Well, there's this one case that came through in a seance that I found very interesting because he was possessed but didn't know it.
Huh.
And he had a spirit in his house that he felt came from where his apartment was in New York to his apartment now in the Oranges, I think it was. And when we started the seance, oh my God, I was not prepared for this. He jumped up and he started with his leg almost as though he's kicking people. And he's going around in a circle. And we're all like this. And I realized this was not the normal thing. That's for sure.
Boy.
And then when he was on the ground and he was spinning with his legs up in the air, and I'm like concerned about all the people in the seance. And the only way I knew to control this is I had to get it to my stomach. So he's spinning, and the only way I could do it was to jump on top of him. And that's what I did. Now, that's pretty funny. That's how I got it. And I got him quieted, and I was able to release his spirit. And it turned out that he lived in an apartment. He went down in the basement where the laundry was, and there was some sort of box or something there that he opened up, and it was a dismembered woman's body.
No way.
Yes. So that's who was following him. And that's who came in the
Whoa.
circle, is why it was so wild, because she was fighting off the attacker. And that's where I learned the first person who sees something like that can get possessed or can be followed.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
So, very. So that's how that happened.
So you're telling me, like, hypothetically, um, EMTs, police, they could run the
Oh,
risk of
yes.
a spirit attachment if they come upon some
Yeah.
bad energy or a bad crime
A
scene
a
or
murder scene.
oh
Yeah,
my god, that's interesting.
absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely, that can happen. Um, I had to do a psychic reading on these two girls who just had a friend of theirs murdered.
Yeah.
So, they came to me for a reading. I had known them for a while. They had been having readings. And what I wasn't prepared for is I was knocked into a trance, and the spirit came through me, and I described entirely how she was murdered.
Oh.
It was
Oh.
it was rough. It was rough
Yeah.
that happened. And the only other place that happened, and I won't go into those details because that's in my book, as is Lizzie Borden House. The seance
Yeah.
at the Borden House. It was brutal in how it attacked me.
Now, do you think um someone like me goes into a building? I'm not intuitive, I don't have any mediumship abilities whatsoever. But when someone like you goes in there, did they automatically know that you have that antenna, that you have those abilities?
Yes,
So
they can they
they
can sense your energy field.
wow.
Psychic ability will give off a different type of energy field than someone who doesn't have the ability. So they
Wow.
will go to you more than they will to somebody else. Because if they really want to communicate, they're going to hang on you. They're going to bother you because they want to communicate.
Is that the same with children? Why children see spirits? Because they're just open channel. They don't have any.
Yes, because they don't have those filters that block everything. So
Wow.
they're open, and you could see more. It's like my granddaughter. I think that she's going to eventually have my ability. I've
Yeah.
seen it in her when she was just a baby and how she would look. There were certain things, and I had a friend die, and she was in that room, in the living room, and she came running, and she was about 3 years old. She came running to me, scared, because she saw something, and I found out that was the moment that my friend died, the
Oh my
timing.
God.
So I knew my friend came to say goodbye, and it's my
Wow.
granddaughter that spotted it. So, and she's had different kinds of experiences like that. So I know, and she's not afraid of it. She isn't afraid of it, so it's good.
And again, what's great about Jane is because she's done it all and seen it all. We were doing an event one time. I wasn't there, but I heard all about it. Um, Part of the event, which we don't do anymore, is we were using a Ouija board, and um, one particular person at the table, 4 or 5 people were at the table, maybe started saying that they were affected
Yeah.
and they were starting to act out a little. Now I'm hearing this story secondhand from Chris and whoever was there. And Jane literally whacked the kid on the leg and was just like, you know, let it go or leave him alone or whatever. And it was like, done within that session. Like it came and then it went. I mean, that's crazy to think that something like that could happen.
Oh, it could. It could. And that's part of being, I'm in this field 35 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
And nobody at the time, my peers was a gypsy psychic on the boardwalk. There was nobody that I could really connect to
Yeah.
and have a camaraderie with. So I've seen a lot. I understand a lot. I know how to teach people how to
Yeah.
develop the ability. I know how you should approach a haunted building if you want to have an experience, just what you need to do and how you keep yourself open. So there is so much that I know, and I'm grateful for it. But I also want to be able to give it to people. That
Right.
was my biggest worry when I felt something was going to happen to me, because I've spent my entire life in this field doing that. You want to stick your head in there, Melania? um,
Oh
and
my God.
I want to be able to
How
give
tall is
that
she
to
now?
people. She's going to be 11 in
Oh
April.
my God. Last time I saw her,
Yes,
she was like,
I know.
oh my God,
And,
11.
and
How
she's a
could it be that
dancer.
I'm still 30 and these kids are getting older? I don't know how that happens. How does that
She did
happen?
7 dance classes.
11 years old. My
11 years old.
God.
My baby's going to be.
Melania, do you think you're intuitive or have mediumship abilities?
Yeah, kinda. I
Okay.
think so, because I feel like I've definitely experienced some uh things. Like I've heard noises that like I was,
She's seen things.
yeah, I've seen things, I've heard things that weren't there,
We
and
got to take her out with us one time. We got to
She
get you
would
out and her
probably
out
be
with
very
us.
good, because she even, I took her to the spy house when
like a couple times,
I had to do
or like one time.
a show for the
Oh,
New York Post, and I had no way of going. I had problems with my car, the tire. So my daughter took me, and she came. And she was feeling things in there. While I was
Yeah.
being filmed, she was in the other room, and there were things going on. Very interesting.
Are you teaching her how to protect herself and turn it
Yeah,
on, turn it off type of thing?
she knows. She's very grounded in God. In
Okay.
fact, she came to my ghost tours. It was probably in 22.
Yeah. Yeah.
My daughter took her, and then I took her, to where I was going. And she said, Gma, she said, if the spirits are here, that means God's got to be here. It was adorable.
Yeah, I don't know.
She was like,
It'd be really cool to take her somewhere,
yeah,
have the both of you there and see what she,
she'd pick up. I know she would.
that'd
I
be
know,
cool.
because I see what she does here, and she's not afraid of it. One time I channeled. You haven't seen me do that, I don't
No, I
think.
have. I have.
Right, you have.
Oh,
We were in a building. I wasn't there, but I walked in. No, twice I've seen it. I saw it at the Iyer House. It wasn't
Okay.
really channeling. You were picking up on what happened, and you were kind of reliving it. But another building we were at with you, you were sitting down channeling, and it was one of the weirdest things I've ever witnessed.
You've ever
And
witnessed, I know.
I don't like that at all, man. I wouldn't do that. If I had that ability, now describe what that's like for me.
When I go into this trance, I'm very, very deep, and it's almost
Yeah.
like part of me comes out of my body, and another spirit comes into me. Now, I don't do it often, because I used to, when I began doing individual readings.
Now, wait, are you still in control the whole entire time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. When I first started doing individual readings, I did it while in a trance. And then I did it for about 3 years. And then I started to cry when I did it, and I just accepted it as guidance. This is not the way they wanted me to do it anymore. So I did it like the normal way that I did it, because I learned years later that every time I go into that trance, you lose minutes of your life.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because of what it does to your body, and you're allowing it in. But this one particular time, not too long ago, I decided I was going to do it. And I don't know who came through. You probably remember it, because I don't remember everything.
Oh, wait. Who is he again?
Solvar is
Solvar.
the spirit of Solvar. And she wound up crying, but crying because it was so loving what was coming through, that she cried tears of love. It was very interesting, to see that in her. But I do have to tell you something which I don't think I've told you.
Okay.
I don't think I told you that my sister came through.
No, you didn't.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
I think Cinderella wants to go out. Let her out.
You gotta hear this. This is insane.
Well, Terry Ann was in the hospital, and she went through emergency back surgery, and then she got 2 blood clots in her leg and her lung.
Oh.
So I couldn't go see her. I was upset. I'm here like praying. So I'm on my chair in front of the TV, and I heard my name called, and I thought it was Melania, and I yelled out, and it wasn't. And I opened my eyes, and there was my sister.
Oh, wow.
Full body spirit in front of me.
Wow.
And she was exactly, I just remember she had a pillow and a blanket, and she had her arms around that. That's the way she was when my daughter had her, because she came into the delivery room with me.
Right.
And I knew my daughter was going to be okay. And then as I said, Pat, she put a big smile on her face and she dissipated. Unbelievable, John.
Wow.
I mean, what an experience.
Yeah, anybody would kill for
Oh,
that kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I felt I visited her because I didn't get to see her before she died because she lived in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And it was an unbelievable.
And I never call her Jane. So I don't know how she thought it was
Yeah,
me because I
well,
normally call her G-Mom.
because I thought,
Yeah.
you know, you were the only one in the house. So I figured, you know, it had to be her.
Wow.
There's no one.
So that was unbelievable to have.
Never happened again though. Just the one time.
No,
No.
no, and it probably will never happen again. It was
But
just,
again, as a medium, how do you describe the ability to do it once but never again?
because it has to do with the spirit's will also to come through. And it was also, you know, I was in an emotional state,
Right. Right.
you know, so I was even more sensitive than normal because I was praying, I was worried, you know, all of that. So you get, you know, more sensitive. Is a
Right.
greater degree of sensitivity. And she was able to make herself come through, full body, shoes and all, sneakers.
Now, was that something you were openly wanting?
No, it spontaneously came. I was not thinking of her. I was only, you know, saying a prayer, thinking of my daughter. And what was interesting that I didn't know, my daughter for 2 nights, when she knew she had these blood clots, she was calling my sister and
Wow.
saying, Aunt Pat, help me. Aunt Pat, help me.
Oh my God.
So I didn't know that. And so it was like, it was chilling. It was absolutely chilling.
How would you what would you recommend if somebody thought they had an attachment? What would you recommend that they do? At your average ordinary person.
Well, you'd have to do things where, you know, you're with sea salt, you know, taking a bath in sea salt would be one thing I would have them do so that
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
so they can get the attachment off. Second thing I would do, because I did have a voodoo curse on me. So that's like an attachment.
From a person?
Yes, from a Haitian woman.
Oh my
Mhm.
God.
I mean, I've been through, John. I have been through. But I'm in.
Oh my.
Did she think that you wronged you? You wronged her,
She thought
obviously?
that
Or,
I had more ability than her,
oh wow.
and
Holy
she got
cow.
jealous, and she gave it to me. And it occurs with your birthday, apparently, and I found out. And that's when it happened. On my birthday is I went to the dentist and there was something really strange that happened and my face was, oh, it was horrible.
I think I
And
remember you saying something about that.
yeah, and I, you know, I didn't believe in curses back then. It's really
Yeah.
funny. And then what happened is somebody came to me for hypnosis. And he wanted hypnosis because his grandmother supposedly cursed him. He was Haitian. So I'm saying to myself, well, that's interesting. You know, I take the clues when it's like guidance that comes in. Then after that, 2 weeks later, I'm still ignoring this. 2 Haitian women came for readings in my office.
Oh.
And they explained to me, you need a snake ring. And if you were with somebody like that, you needed to put your like this, and they'll run from you. They won't put the curse.
Whoa.
And then, so it still was like I didn't feel my body. Like I felt something was going on, but I didn't know what to do. So what I did was then programmed my mind. I
Okay.
just kept programming my mind that when I went to church and I received communion, you know, that this would be gone. And it took me maybe about 3 weeks, just every day programming myself and doing that. And then once I actually acted, went to church, it was gone after that.
Yeah, Jane
Program.
was the one. Jane was the one who told me when we would have our conversations about negative energy and people projecting that at you. she would always say, "Put mirrors in every
That's
corner of the room." And I would say to Chris all the time, like, I need to put mirrors in the corners of the room because I mean, at times it's coming fast and furious, from different people at different times. But that's what I always wonder about the attachment thing, because I feel like I've had them through the years, and um, some have taken longer than others to leave, and I feel myself again. But I've come across some really bad
I know you
energy,
have.
really bad energy.
Ooh.
And it scares me because I don't have a lot of belief in religion or anything else. So I
Right,
don't
right.
I don't know how to protect myself from any of that.
What saved you was you being in nature a lot.
Yeah.
Because you're walking, Walter, and you're always in nature. So nature is also a way to help get an attachment off of you. It's like I would say, go lean up against a tree and just stay there and let that energy heal you, and it will take away the attachment.
Right.
Or hug the tree, be in nature. That's just ways of clearing your energy from this. And then actually telling it to leave, telling it you don't want them there. Get away.
Do you feel like, except for people, who are mediums and know the ways to protect themselves, do you feel like constant exposure to energy, especially the negative one, could eventually lead to possession, oppression, and all that stuff? I mean, do you become more sensitive to it and more,
Yes.
inclined to be attacked by it?
Yes. They will attack somebody who is in the light and more sensitive than somebody that isn't, because they want to get you, that type of thing. So yes, you have to be careful. Like before I do a seance, I always say a non-denominational prayer.
Right.
Before I do a ghost investigation, I'm also saying a prayer. I'm using my crystal skulls. I'm doing something to protect myself before I get into that situation. And usually, and then you've seen me carry a pack which
Yeah.
has my crystal skull in it. So they will be there when I do a ghost investigation. I'm walking around with it, or when I do a seance, because that is a form of my protection, because
Do you
it's
ever,
spreading energy.
do you ever feel like something followed you home?
Um, no, no, my daughter has, but not me.
Oh,
Just I always wonder about that when it comes to anybody, mediums. Well, when you're doing the channeling, because I watched you do it, and this was a different time. This was, again, I think it was a man you were channeling, and your voice changed and your demeanor changed. And do you remember any of that when it's going on?
Very little. I could not tell you exactly what I said. I might remember a word, or I might have an image that I can remember, but other than that, I can't. I usually, when I do that, tape record it.
Doesn't that bother you though, to know that
No,
you're not in
no,
control and you just
no,
gave it over? I
no.
would never do it. I would be so afraid to
I
even
have
try that.
great deal of trust. And I also know I have a lot of protection around me.
Right.
And I just have trust. I know there's a lot, I'm not afraid.
same.
And you can't be afraid if you do this work.
Right. Right.
Because if you're afraid, that energy can actually bring to you what you're fearing. So
And
you
it's funny you bring that up. You bring up a really good point there, because I don't know if I told you this story, and these guys watching know this one, but we work with the haunted objects all the time.
yes,
And what's funny story about that I reminded them watching, the way I got started in haunted objects was we did a cable access show where I bought 4 of them. Jane was our guest. We did the investigation, and then we brought them to her, and she read each one of them, and we saw if it matched up. And then from then I was hooked, where I couldn't get enough. So there was one particular object, and I want to go back to the point you just made.
Okay.
This thing was a monkey. It didn't look evil. It didn't look anything. It looked like from like the 80s or whatever. But it was in where Donna stores all of her objects, and it was down on the bottom of a shelf. And it just like, it almost like it looked at me, and I looked at it, and I'm like, "What, this stupid monkey? What's up with that?" And Donna's like, "Well, I really don't have any information on it. It just, I'm waiting for someone to do a reading on it." And I'm like, "Well, you know, it's kind of cool looking." She goes, "Do you want it?" She's never offered me anything ever, and I should have known better. And stupid me, I took it. My car, my entire instrument panel went dark when that monkey was in my car, and I almost got hit by a car that day. And then I got sick for 2 weeks, and so did Chris.
Ooh.
Yes.
That thing was out to get me. I believe it 100%.
It was. It was definitely out to get you. And you have to be careful of that because you're in so many haunted places and you're with haunted objects. So you have to really protect yourself good because, you know, you can attract it. And also because if at any time, you know, you feel ill, that's open. It makes it more likely that something could happen.
So are you still doing, did you start up again with the classes and the readings? And
yes, I'm doing, but I'm going to have the first in-person seance. I'm picking it for May 1st at my daughter's house. I had one at the haunted place in October.
Right.
I did a big seance there. So I'm going to do one here, and then I'm going to do the classes in either May or the very beginning of June.
What are the classes?
Psychic development. Because I started them and then COVID started.
Right.
And I couldn't do them anymore. So I probably am going to pick a weekend for a Saturday and a Sunday. So it's 2 days to really immerse people in the ability and then touch upon mediumship. But then I'll go further. Then I probably will go on Zoom and have more connection with the people so I can really develop that. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to give this to people.
Right.
And that's how I started. Then when they finish all this, I'm going to give them a certificate.
Right.
They've been through so many hours of psychic development with me.
So they could do the May 1st one if they contact you through Jane Doherty.
Yes, I'm going to be announcing it on Facebook. But yes, they can definitely contact me.
I'm sure people will do that that are watching now and probably want to be part of that.
Yeah, so it's that. And, you know, even though I haven't felt good and I had to go through surgery and all that, I wrote, John. I've written 2 books and I'm on my 3rd one.
Wow.
So it's not that I wasn't doing anything. It was like.
It's funny because I remember back when we were going over your house, we were having our pizza and our meatball sandwiches and we were doing our live streams together, that Jimmy we would always talk to you. Did you write anything? Or you're taking, and you were like, yeah, I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it, but you didn't get to it. I'm impressed.
No, I've been buckled down. In fact, when my son texted me, was it yesterday, and he says, "So what'd you do today?" I says, "Well, I spent all day writing."
Oh, good for you.
And he loved it. He loved it because I said, "Well, I'm on chapter 6 now of the new book." So. Yeah, I buckled down, and that's what I did.
You need to do that because, again, I hope you live another 100 years. You know that,
right?
But your experiences and your knowledge and your abilities, they shouldn't be lost. You should be able to, like you said, have something out there for, God forbid, if and when that people remember you the way you should be remembered. You've been in this field a really long time, and I always say that, you know this, I always say this about you. You're right up there for me with, you know, the best of the best as far as I'm concerned, and not enough people know that.
No. And I want to give this knowledge. I spent all these years. It's something that's in my heart that I want to be able to give this to people, so it can carry on and people have, you know, the important things about it, because you won't know just doing a ghost investigation.
Right.
That's one level, but then when you're doing spirit communication in another level, there's so much more you learn about the spirit world. It's fascinating.
People are asking about your books, if they can get them and where they can get them.
The one that's out there, you can get it on Amazon, is Awakening the Mystic Gift. You
Okay.
get that. The other two I didn't publish yet. That's gonna come in the spring. I'm gonna do it on Amazon and not the way I did it before. And the one, I even had the working titles. The one on Lizzie Borden is going to be What Lizzie Left Behind, My Seance at the Lizzie Borden House.
Okay.
Story of spirit secrets in the shadows of Fall River. And the other one on intuition is called Intuition Interrupted, Reclaiming the Voice Within. So that's going to be where there's certain blocks that people put up and don't realize it, that doesn't allow their intuition to come through. So it's all about that and getting rid of those blocks, and then you're naturally intuitive.
Yeah. See, I got to get that. I really do, because
Yeah.
we took you know her, I can't pronounce her last name, but Gloria, she lives in Tom's River. We did a thing where we all got together, and she did just a basic mediumship class for us over 2-3 hours, took us through some exercises and stuff, and I just can't shut off my brain enough to really lock in to any kind of inner
Yeah.
whatever. It's just not possible for me. I can't. Not without edibles or something.
Yeah. No, you have to learn how to concentrate. It's like, remember how, let's say, when you're lecturing in a ghost investigation, there's a certain kind of concentration you're doing, and you're blocking out people. That's what you have to focus on and learn to do it more, and then you can apply it to picking up information, because you're disciplining yourself. You're developing that skill of concentration, which is what's needed.
Now, you prefer the in-person seance as opposed to the virtual online stuff, or there's no difference?
Well, there is a difference. It's very interesting, because I was doing the Zoom seances during COVID.
Right.
And when I discovered that sometimes it was easier to do a reading, and it was easier to do a seance. You still could pick up. The only thing didn't happen is my stomach, didn't expand in front of people, and I couldn't go and hug a person when that spirit came through.
Right.
But the information, and it's because when you have a person sitting there, there's a lot of distraction and you don't realize. If they're moving, if their hands, and that distracts you and you don't realize it. I learned doing them online what the difference was. I wasn't distracted at all. So I can get deep into something without paying any attention to someone moving, because you move in a chair, you hear the chair, all this. It's very interesting.
Wow.
So it's not something that you would think of. But
I thought you were going to say the exact opposite. I thought you were going to say you prefer the personal connection with the energy being shared within the space, but no, huh?
I mean, I like being the personal, because I like being able to
the hugs
hug
and,
the person.
Right.
The spirit is coming, their loved one, and they want to hug that person.
Yeah.
So I love that. Yes. But the difference is, sometimes doing them on Zoom, you have a more of a connection as far as the mind is concerned, and you'll get the correct information.
You want to know what Jane, if you were part of this, you remember, but Jane was with us. Somebody mentioned the Burlington prison. She was with us. I don't know how many years ago that was, but Jane literally did like 35-minute readings, not 35 minutes, 35-minute readings, where she sat down. God bless her. It was 100 degrees in that building. She had a fan on her. She had her little notebook or pad or whatever she was using, and one after the other, right name. And then I was like, holy crap. And everybody, not one person left there and said, oh, that was whatever. I mean, I was like, you got to be kidding me. How in the world could you just change gears, lock in, wipe it out, and bring in the new? It just, is it that quick?
Concentration, John. Keen concentration. I can go in there and I can get myself where I concentrate, and I do it fast. in those situations because I'm forced to do it fast. It's just like when I was on TV and I was in an interview, you know, sometimes your psychic ability is greater because you're put under pressure.
Right.
And that, so it's the same thing. I'm under pressure. So the concentration becomes keener and faster.
Wow. See that
So that's how I can do it. It's all about concentration. If people don't think of that. Psychic ability is really your ability to relax and concentrate.
So what do you do? Like in that scenario, hypothetically, you're reading me, you're getting whatever's coming through for me. That 5 minutes up, what do you do to disconnect that engagement from that energy spirit to end that? To let that, do they know? Are they aware that you're cutting off the communication on the other side?
Yes. They'll pick up the pace that I'm going because they're observing me and they know. So they know.
Wow.
And so when I finish, and because I write what I receive, so they know that when I get to that turn the page over, I'm getting to the end. So it's like, it's a pace that they're aware of.
Wow.
Familiar with. And they
that's fascinating. That is. I again, for me, so far removed from any ability like that. And I'm going to let you go in a minute here. But the one thing I want to ask you, Jane, and I think we talked about this before because we've talked about everything before. I always say, because we have these conversations with Chip Coffey and other people like that, and you know me, my crazy brain, I think too much and I dive way down the rabbit hole. But if I had your ability, and I think you and we've talked about this before,
right?
I know me, the books that you're writing and the things that you're doing, my time would be spent trying to figure out as much as I could about what happened from the time my flat line to the time whatever happened beyond. I would literally drive myself crazy. I would look like, long hair, longer beard, never showering, because if I had that ability, that is the greatest mystery to everyone. Have you done that ever in your life where you just sat there and just tell me everything?
Yeah, I'd say I did that I would just, I want to know,
And do you know? Do you think you know exactly the whole shebang?
I do. I really feel like I do.
Wow.
Honestly and truly, because I'm so open and I've been through so many experiences.
Right.
And for so many years and because I was a high school teacher, I'm very analytical.
Right.
Even when I approached this ability, I analyzed it to death. I was a skeptic and, it had to be proven to me, all of that. So that has, done that to me where I really feel I know everything I need to know. There's not much left for me to know because I used to devour books like crazy. And in the past 15 years, none of the books interest me because they're just repeating something that somebody else said 5 years before.
Right.
There's no new knowledge.
Yep.
Is what I find. And I find that boring. It's like, why should I? It's like, you don't need to know.
That's interesting because that's like what AI is. AI is just calling upon all the information that's out there everywhere, and it just does it quick, But wow, I wish I had that ability and that faith, because the older I get, the more I fear what happens at the end.
No, you don't fear it. Don't fear it. It's not painful. You have life on the other side. You're with your loved ones. You still do things on the other side, and you live through your memories, which is something I always tell people: make sure you have good memories here. Because when you're on the other side, your money is your memories, and that's what makes you rich.
Right.
And so you'll live through those memories, and that's how you exist. But there's nothing to be afraid of, and you do come back. So, and you can communicate with the living. Wow. And more so now than when I first started 35 years ago.
Right.
Because it's open now. back then you were, chastised if you did.
Yeah.
Now it's so open, you can do it.
Wow.
And I see the progression on how that happened. Because when I first started, there was a case I did where the mother was feeling that there was a spirit there. The husband would go away. He was a milkman. And you know how many years that was? He's a milkman. So he was a milkman and he would go away, with the guys, whatever. And she would always get the daughters because she felt there was a spirit there and it was a big commotion. What it turned out to be, as I did this investigation, there was a small spirit there, but not what was causing all this problem. She conjured it up because she didn't like her husband going away with the guys.
Oh my God.
So in order to prevent him from leaving, she conjured up all this spirit activity.
Oh my God, that's bizarre.
So it was really funny. And it's funny because he was a milkman. It was really funny. So
you wonder if, again, from your perspective, do you think like, these places that, do like what we do, have thousands of people now going through them all the time. Do you think that, like people, some spirits appreciate the attention and others are just like, why? You're asking me again, what year did you die? How did you die? What did you die from? I mean, do you think that like most places have spirits and that they're just non-communicative?
Yes. Cinderella. Terry Ann? Yes, she's going after Gemma and she's not going to stop barking. I think that sometimes they get annoyed that question keeps getting asked.
But do you think they're everywhere and some are just non-communicative or
I think you have
not
a lot
interested?
more than you think. Yes. Because it's like some of them just don't want to be bothered. Some of them are existing in their world and they come now and then to a place.
Yeah.
So you might be in a place that you think is haunted, but you're getting no activity because they're not visiting right now.
Right.
And then there's other times you can go to that same place and, oh my God, there's all kinds of things going on because the spirit is there visiting.
Do you believe you can channel them in?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Because that's my theory too about the haunted objects as well. I do believe in attachment. I do believe energy can be attached to an object, but I also have the belief of if I'm holding on to your bracelet that you had your whole entire life, that your whatever daughter gave you or your husband gave you or whatever your mother gave you, and I'm referencing that and I'm referencing your life and I'm talking about you, that I can sort of hone in on that frequency wherever you are, like you said, if you're around and you come for that time period.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what does it take? It takes concentration, John.
Well, that I have it then, but not all the time.
So at those moments you have it because it takes concentration, because that energy now is going out like a beam, like a radio beam.
Makes sense.
And that's how it comes in. You channel them in.
I didn't even know it was Friday the 13th. Everybody's telling me, oh, Jane's on with John on Friday the 13th.
I know.
It was Friday. Of all the days to do this, we picked today.
I know. That's when I did the seance at the Lizzie Borden house on Friday the 13th.
See, that's why I'm psychic too. I have these. I knew that.
But I love the 13. That's my lucky number. So when it's Friday the 13th, I'm happy. I love the 13.
I'm so superstitious that I'm afraid of all of it. If like a day like today, knowing it was Friday the 13th, the first time I like dropped something, like coming out of the shower, my toothbrush fell, I'd be like, oh my God, here we go. It's going to be a bad day. It's going to be a bad day.
We had a situation before I came on, about an hour before you came on. And my son-in-law said, uh-oh, it's Friday the 13th. Because we heard this great big noise down here, like water, and we didn't know what it was. And my daughter went upstairs, and it looked like the toilet upstairs exploded in some way. Something happened. There was water all over, like it exploded. But then, he was sleeping. We got him up, And I went, uh-oh, this is going to be the first time on a Friday 13th that something
That's
bad.
crazy.
Yeah, it was very
Well,
crazy.
one more question, and then I want you to
Yeah.
talk about again how people can join the seance
Mhm.
and get in touch with you. I am on the fence about this. I think you and I have talked about this a million times too. I I don't know if I believe that the living has the ability to quote unquote cross the spirit over. If they chose not to in the first place for whatever reason, I don't know how we as the living could do that. Have you done that, and how have you done that?
Crossed a person over that was dying.
No, a spirit that was here in a whatever in a building, uh,
Well,
dealing,
yeah, I did it in a seance when there was a possession. And I
but
had,
never like someone in their home like said, "Hey, I got a spirit in my house. They're making noise. I think it's somebody
oh,
who lived here. How do I get rid of that? Have you
yes,
ever?
I've done that. I've done that. Yes, you can do that. It's up to the spirit.
Oh,
You can't get every one of them to leave and
right,
cross over, but you can. It's is when you make a connection with it and you communicate, you begin to tell it it doesn't belong here. It
gotcha.
You had a life. This is now my house. Something like that, or this one's house. You belong in the light. Go to the light. Go to your loved ones, and you just have to be repetitive with it.
Well, I've got another story that's including again when we filmed together of an example of Jane. Again, I believe in the people when I see what I see and I hear what I hear. As an example of what we're talking about is, in this particular case, this haunting, if you want to call it that. The woman's father was there, who she took care of for the last couple of years of his life. Um, she was not in a good state of mind, depression. She wouldn't leave the house. She wasn't really socializing with anybody and doing anything. And yet she believed his spirit was there and he wasn't, quote unquote, crossing over. And I witnessed as Jane sat down with this woman and counseled her in the perfect way and told her, look, he's worried about you. You're not moving on. You're not living your life. You're not going out. Your family is, in this with you, this depression. He's won't leave until he knows you're okay. That's why he's here.
Right.
And lo and behold, that was that.
That was it. He
I
left.
was I was like, again, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have never believed it, but I was there. That's why I can speak to Jane and the things that she's done and what I've seen. I've seen it.
No, right. I remember that time.
That was amazing. And again, same thing. You did a reading with her, and I watched as she was upset, and you gave her a big hug, and then she felt better. And again, I would think I'm not the type that would go to you as a friend or any of my friends who are mediums and say, help me connect to my mom, because I think that's more of a personal thing for me
Right.
with my mom. But I get it. It's therapeutic. It's good to know that the messages are there and that they can exist beyond life. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we all. But Jane, tell them how they can get involved in your
Yeah,
seance and get your books and get in touch with you.
they could find me on Facebook under my name. I'm there. You can send me a message or you can email me at psychicjanedoherty@gmail.com. And my telephone number, my cell number is 908-447-7617. You could always text me.
Yeah, you can.
And as soon as I have the date squared away, which is going to be May 1st, I'm
Good.
going to put that on Facebook. Then as soon as I have it squared away on the psychic development, I'll be putting that on Facebook. And as soon as I'm in the process of publishing, then I will let people know through Facebook that the book is ready and things like that.
And now that I know you can do this again, we'll do more of these.
Okay, sounds good to me.
And
And
we're gonna
eventually I'll have a new computer.
and now
You
we
have
can
no
work.
idea how nervous I was that this wasn't going to work.
It worked fine. The picture
But
looks
it
great
worked
too.
fine, so I'm
Yeah.
happy.
I kept looking at my screen to see if you were going to pop on. I'm like, come on, Jade. Come on, Jade.
I was sitting here since
Well,
7
look at
o'clock,
you. Look how good
ready
you're
to
doing.
do it to make sure, because we had a backup.
Look, I
I
remember the
couldn't-
old days where Jimmy had to come in and.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, this was going to be my granddaughter this time.
Okay.
But if
Yeah.
this didn't work and it froze on me, then she has a laptop, not a laptop, an iPad,
Okay.
and my daughter's email goes to it. So we were going
Okay.
to do that, tell you to send it there, and I was going to use her laptop, our iPad, if this didn't work.
Ah, it works perfect.
But
It was great.
It
Great
worked.
seeing you, Jane. We got to
Yeah, we have to
schedule a
get
day for
together.
dinner. We have to get together and go back to that Italian place was pretty good. So we'll go there again. But
Okay.
I miss seeing you. I
miss
miss
seeing you
talking
too.
to you. And I'm looking forward to, again, seeing more of you and doing more of these again. Everybody go to Jane Doherty's page. Her name is right there. That's how you spell it. And if you can't attend this seance, I'm sure she'll do more down the road. But definitely worth doing.
Definitely am. It was hard trying to figure out where I'm going to do it because I don't have an office anymore.
Yeah.
But I finally decided, okay, we're going to try it here and do it. I have, for the psychic development, I have a friend who has an office. She doesn't have chairs. So she's going to take the chairs I have in the basement that were in my office, and we're going to use that for the psychic development there.
Well, if you need help with that, I can help you with that
Okay.
too. If you want to arrange a few. I mean, I'm sure I could help with that.
Yeah.
But even people here, I know people here have attended some of the seances or the readings at the Burlington. And I know somebody in my group attended your mediumship classes, Danielle Voss, and she swears by you. So, but definitely follow Jane. All right, Jane. Good seeing you.
Great
Talk
to
see
see
you soon.
Bye-bye now.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
There you go. All right, Friday the 13th with Jane Doherty. Been too long. Way too long. Again, I haven't really, Jane and I text every now and then, go back and forth, but we we used to get together all the time for those live streams. If you were watching, sit in her basement. I'd make fun of her. She has her little hypnotist wheel that spins and the circle lines. I used to always make fun of that. And her dog, it was, again, something, she went through a lot of stuff and, we've been through stuff. So now it's good that she's happy and she's content. And like I said, we'll do more of these. And I encourage all you guys to follow her and definitely try to attend the seance if you can or get a reading from her. Jane's awesome. So Friday the 13th, that's it. We have an event tomorrow night. John Inskeep, again, that was for the people in the township that we said we would do. So, and then we have another one on the 21st, which I think is the mine, but I'm not sure. But tickets are still available for the August 22nd gallery reading with Mike and Marty, who are going to be joining us next week here to talk about what they do and how they do it and hopefully give an example, a demonstration. So they'll come on next week. So tickets are still available for the gallery reading and the ghost hunt. The ghost walk, I think, is full. Maybe you could fit some more, but I don't know about that. But we'll probably see you Monday to do a wrap up of everything. So that's it. Have a good weekend, everyone. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.